Peer-to-peer networks existed before blockchain, so before Bitcoin. One example is BitTorrent, where people could, transfer files on a peer-to-peer network, usually copyrighted things and whatnot. But blockchain is very different because we're dealing with the transference of money. And this is the stakes are much higher because everyone has an incentive, no matter how honest they are, everyone has an incentive to say, well, yeah, I have 100 Bitcoin in my account, I can send it to you. Like every single person in the network or using the network has the incentive to lie. So the thing that made Bitcoin different, and Bitcoin was what introduced this blockchain data structure, is it made sure that the network had a global state. So it wasn't like parts of the network could lie. Like there was a global state, and that was represented by this immutable blockchain, which is like a record of all transactions. And since the Bitcoin, but blockchain networks in general are decentralized, every single node in the network needs to be able to validate a transaction. Since there's no central point of authority, every single person needs the capability to be able to validate a transaction. And just quickly, in case people don't know what validate a transaction means, in the Bitcoin network, in order for you to validate a transaction as a miner, you have to just make sure that person actually has the money that they say they do in their account. So that, in Ethereum, it's different because it's a general blockchain and validation requires a bit more work, but it's essentially the same idea. Like I want to make a transfer of money. I submit the transaction to Bitcoin so miners can add it to a block, but they first have to check that it's a valid transaction, that, I'm not sending you 100 Bitcoin when I have nothing in my account. So what I said was, the reason why I brought that up is every single node in the network needs to be able to do this. And in order to be able to do this, every single node needs access to the same data. So this means that the native data on the blockchain is, for those that do have a computer background, it's basically a mapping of address to data. Yeah, the data on the blockchain natively is just an address and what information is in that address. And that really boils down to, in practice, like what token does this person have? Essentially, that's the data on the blockchain. Like this person has this token. And I think that's the main reason why cryptocurrency is still the main use case and application of blockchain, is because the native data on the blockchain is ownership data, so value transfer.